Mediocre Rumble Brothers. Three, two, one.
All right, welcome to Mediocre Rumble Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and the team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Let's go ahead and remember to follow us on Spotify, subscribe on our YouTube channel. All right, today we'll be discussing on how we look ahead at 2025 releases, as well as being able to handle our backlog on video games. We're going to go ahead and start with our very first question. So, what upcoming video game releases in 2025 are you most excited about, and why?
Assassin's Creed Shadows. No, I'm just
Said
kidding.
no one ever.
No,
Yeah, said no one ever.
I am kind of excited about its release because it's such a controversial game right now, and I want to see what happens. That's it. I mean, I don't play Assassin's Creed games, so like it's take it or leave it in my opinion. I've just never really been into those for some reason, I guess. Like all my roommates played them, so like I didn't buy them because I've always seen them, and I don't like the animus nonsense, I guess. The one time I played an Assassin's Creed game, like all the Assassin's Creed parts, I did not like. I just liked the part where I was the character in the world. But I'm excited to see what happens when it releases, and how fast it ends up on like a Veilguard situation where they're giving the game out on PlayStation Plus as Game of the Month.
and how inaccurate the history of this game is.
I found it funny that like I feel kind of derailing the question, but I just think it's funny. Like I feel like a lot of games have gotten away with being historically inaccurate, but like once people smelled blood in the water for Assassin's Creed Shadows, they will not let up about it.
It's a weird like situation that they should have seen coming, because when you push, it creates the pushback is just as much. So they could have just like ignored it completely, and then it would have just faded into obscurity. But because they keep trying to like fix it, I guess, whatever that means, marketing wise, I've noticed like a lot of short videos of people talking about like, oh, I got an early version and it's amazing, the graphics are and it's like you're glazing this game pretty hard. I feel like you're worried, especially after Ubisoft's open call to the shareholders when they asked about the pre-order sales, and they didn't really have a good statement
About
to
that.
say. That was I'm just like, oh yeah. So we'll see. But
More to the
actually,
point.
Tides of Annihilation. After I saw the trailer, I was really excited. I think we
That doesn't
were
come out in
talking about how-
2025, Corey. Come on now.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was
Well,
like, does that come out this year?
That's like the
No.
one game that I saw that was like, ooh, I'm gonna pay attention to this as it goes. But like Switch 2 stuff, I'm definitely hyped for just because it's a console. The new Atelier game, Yumiya, kind of excited about that.
does that
It has like more darker tones. It comes out short, midway through. Let's see.
Because I'm trying to find a good point to jump into those games. I might
March.
just start with the first March. Okay, so yeah, next. Oh no, it is March.
Yeah, March 21st.
Oh, so it's right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely pick that one up and give it a go. I was excited for Split Fiction, and then I bought it, and it's fun. So I'm playing through it now. I mean, the co-op experience is usually nice, and me and my wife sat down and we're playing it, and it's pretty fun. Very forgiving on deaths, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of like funny stuff that's probably going to be playing on the YouTube version of this episode since I was recording it. There's Lunar's coming and a few other things, I guess. Some RPGs, but yeah, that's pretty much. I'm waiting for a lot of Switch things. There's a lot of, like Metal Gear Solid's coming out. I do want to play the Snake Eater game because Snake Eater, with that game in the franchise in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking forward to too much until recently. I was just talking to Corey. I was just randomly browsing GameStop's website because they were having a sale on something, and I was looking at stuff. But out of curiosity, I'm like, I'm just going to sort by new and just scroll down the Nintendo Switch lineup, because typically when games come out, or indie games get like a physical release, they either release on the Switch or the PlayStation, with most likely being on the Switch. So I was just out of curiosity. I was just browsing and like just choosing stuff based on their cover art, then looking up a trailer and seeing where it goes from there. And so I found out that game Lost Ruins is getting a physical release next month. I pre-ordered that, and that game's older. It's just now getting a physical release. Another pixel art, like 2D action game, action platformer. Got crud in my throat. That one looks cool. Xenoblade Chronicle X Definitive Edition comes out in like a week, I think. And I already had that pre-ordered, so that's going to be coming my way soon. I'm excited to play that because I did play the one on the Wii U, but I just never really could get into it too much. It's more like I like the concept, but the Wii U being clunky and weird to use, it wasn't really fun playing the game. But now, especially now that I've gotten a bigger grasp on the Xenoblade world after beating Xenoblade 2, I'm more willing to jump into it because I never even got to the point where I get a big fucking mech, and who doesn't want a big fucking mech?
True.
So I'm gonna get that. There's another indie game that I saw that I'm going to pre-order called Dungeon Drafters. That doesn't come out for a couple months now, but that's like a deck building roguelike RPG thing that looked really fun to me. There was as much shit as I gave it last episode. I'm still in quotation marks like excited about Pokemon Legends ZA because, like I said, the gameplay, if nothing else, looks really fun, and I'm hoping the game will surprise me. And maybe we're probably gonna get more trailers leading up to it, so maybe get me more excited, especially since I know I'm going to buy the game regardless. So I just was a little disappointed in the trailer was all, but I'm still probably going to be looking a little bit forward to that. At the very least, it looks a lot better than Scarlet and Violet. The bar is really low right now, so I think that's it as far as this year goes, because I can't think of anything else from either PlayStation or
Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, Night Rain comes out. That's right.
Night Rain.
Yep, I'll be buying Night Rain. That looks fun. I'll probably be. It's either going to get its own episode or be Game of the Month for that month. It's going to be one of those. That definitely looks interesting.
Another one that I kind of was looking at is Hell Is Us. We kind of made fun of the guy having like light beam saber on his shoulder kind of thing. But it does look interesting. To me, it's probably a Souls-like from what it looks like, but I do kind of gravitate towards those types of games, so I'm intrigued to see more about it. I would like to give it a spin.
Yeah, I just find it very funny how the main character, the guy you play as, just looks like
Watch Dogs.
No, he looks like the owner of Facebook.
Oh, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, he looks very much like Mark Zuckerberg. I just found that very funny.
The metaverse has gotten out of hand, and he's back.
Yeah, it was like Hell Is Us, which I think is like.
Is that really the hairstyle he's gonna have? I'm looking at the picture right now.
And that was like a really weird thing about it, but it was like the whole game just looks like a Dante's Inferno type of game where you like go through like the 7 deadly sins or something, or like the 9.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me, but it's like much.
Stop selling it.
Much like darker.
Oh my god, is that his hair? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right?
And like I'm like totally hooked for like the next 3 months because I have like a list that I've been paying very close attention to, just trying to like make my schedule around these games because like all the way up to Elden Ring Night Rain, which I really want to get, especially now that I know you guys are going to get us. I have actually someone to play with. But like for March is the first Berserker, and then somewhere in April I'll go back and forth between Lies of P because I haven't played it, and the new DLC which caught my eye during the State of Play comes out somewhere. It's in summer, so I have to like actually be ready for it. And then I'll go between that and Blueprints, which is just like an escape room type of thing, which I'm interested in.
That was the game I didn't like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna go, but all these games that I'm listing are on the Game Pass, so it's like I just need it for like a little bit to play all of these games without spending so much fucking money on each one individually. And then in May, I'm excited for Doom Dark Ages, so I have to play that.
Oh, does that come out?
No,
wait, that comes out in May.
Yeah.
I might get that because I don't hate Doom. I just if I might it's one of those ones I'm gonna sit and wait for gameplay to come out first, and then I'll make my decision.
There is gameplay.
I
for it.
love that.
Well, I meant
machine gun.
like unbiased, non-trailer gameplay, like a full
Oh.
like actual player's experience with the game, not just the cherry-picked pieces of it.
I have not.
Yeah, I'm just trying to finish the Doom Eternal second DLC before I start that because it's all like story based.
Yeah.
What do you want, Jordan?
Oh,
what
sorry.
are
Yeah.
what are you gonna get totally legit copies of?
No. I was just gonna say that I have not played Doom since the third one that was out, that was released. That was like
On
that's
the
how far.
Xbox.
Yeah, that's how far back I'm at on the Doom style. And then after I saw all that other stuff, or how action packed it was, I didn't say I didn't like it. I actually liked it a lot. I didn't know if I was really going to find myself interested in it, just because I never heard anybody play it until hearing Edwin talking about it. So I might be wanting to look at something like that myself. But I probably need to play those other ones first before I grab that one. And isn't Penny's Blood, Corey? Isn't that supposed to be released this year too? Or
Penny Blood?
yeah.
is
I
Penny
don't know
Blood?
if Penny Blood's going to be this. It's a Kickstarter game. They did a dual Kickstarter. People that did Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts. It's called Arm Fantasia and Penny Blood. I don't know. They were scheduled for this year. I remember because I backed both of them, and it was something. That's how I kind of expected a Switch this year, because they were asking if I wanted it on the next gen Nintendo console last year, and I was like, huh, well, I guess that's coming out. But if development time hasn't crept up on them, then probably. But those are two JRPGs that I'm super excited about, just because of like Arm Fantasia. The art looks super dope, and I love the setting of Wild Arms. And for that to be a spiritual successor of that franchise, I'm like, hell yeah, bring that shit on. And then Penny Blood being like a horror, mature themed RPG is really cool. So like Shadow Hearts was kind of awesome, and if you can find it on PS2 for a reasonable price, pick it up. But you're probably not going to find a reasonable price.
One might call it unreasonable.
Yeah, and I would just probably say that, that is going to be the only one that I might be saying I'm looking forward to. Not saying any of the games that have been mentioned are not good. I just would probably say that I'm out of, I guess I'm not synced up with those other games, so it would basically require me to play the originals first before I start touching those. I haven't even played Elden Ring ever, so to see the new expansion that came out, that sounds awesome. I mean, being able to play two players, I enjoy that. That'd be really cool, but again, I have not played the other ones, so I think it'd probably be not a good idea for me to jump into the brand new one without playing the originals first, if I'm wrong.
Is Ghost of Tsushima 2 this year?
Do we have a release date for that? It might be this year. I don't remember.
I was only listing things that I was interested in that actually did have a release date. Everything else, like Pokemon ZA, I did not list because it didn't have a release date. So, who knows?
Well, they said this year though. We know it's coming out this year. It's probably, if we've been guessing, it's probably going to be with the Switch 2, honestly. So,
yeah, we'll probably get that date when they do the Switch Direct.
Okay, and yeah, not wanting to be interested in playing any of these new games coming up. One, they're kind of expensive, and two, it's like we've already said, which in this title, is that we have some backlog in the video games that we still got to play an endless amount. So playing that, for me, I would just rather just play on my backlog that I have, and then possibly if I find one here or there that really picks my eye, like again with the Penny's Blood one, I will probably wanting to play that one. So that follows us into the second question. So the second question is how do you prioritize which games to play from your backlog, and what criteria do you use?
I think it's like less of a criteria. I mean, the criteria comes into play like after I started the game, because ultimately I want to try everything I own, basically. Let's see. I mean, how do I prioritize? I guess the ones that I have the most interest in, I suppose. I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly, or simplistic, but it really is. I only really start thinking about whether or not I'm actually going to finish it once I start playing it. Stuff like I have the Fairy Tail game on the Switch, and even though the game itself is meh, it just doesn't run very well on the Switch, so I'm not enjoying playing it, so I'm probably not going to finish it. Because unfortunately, when you buy games on whims like that, sometimes when you go back to actually play them, you realize they're kind of crap, and you're just like, do I force myself to play this and have a horrible time, or do I just move on with my life?
Well, yeah. Sometimes you find out like the game is just so damn long, you know, and it's not even a matter of like you're not having fun anymore. It's more of like I want to play something else because I've been doing this for so long, and then you almost take that game and put it back on your backlog, and you're like, I'll revisit this later.
Well,
You know?
unfortunately, most of those games are the ones where you have to keep going because it's like you can have that like kind of attitude playing like a Persona game or something, and then when you do come back to it, it's like fuck, I forgot everything that's happening and how
Yeah.
to play the game.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a
old school
double-edged sword.
JRPGs, you know, old school JRPGs is so brutal like that. Where like that, I made it a point to, if I was ever going to stop playing, I would make it to the town that I had to go to next and save outside. So I knew that if I ever came back and loaded the game, that the cutscene would trigger because of the event that takes place for getting to the quest point, and then it would kind of inform me of what it is I'm supposed to do now. And I'm like, okay, cool. I hit a story beat because when I picked Legend of Dragoon up again, and I saved it in the middle of a dungeon that I had guessed I cleared already, I was like, I don't know where the hell to go. And so I was running around for like an hour. But for me, the YouTube channel kind of helps me prioritize because I get footage for the short recommendations from my backlog, like my personal collection. So all the videos, I literally am playing all of these games. And then, you know, we also do our monthly games. And so a lot of the suggestions are things that I want to kind of go back and play because they're games that I feel like might be worth our time to talk about. And you haven't played them before. Or sometimes you guys haven't played them before. And it's fun to kind of go back. Like right now we're going through Mass Effect and I kind of wanted an excuse to turn that on and play it again. So that's kind of nice. And all of these shorts, I have to play them for at least an hour, even though it's 30 seconds of footage, because I want to get at least some interesting things to swap between when I also edit the video. So that's kind of how I dictate what it is I'm doing. Is like, is this a game I liked when I played it before? Yes. So I'm going to record playing it again and then recommend it to everybody.
I was only scared of wanting to start up Mass Effect because it's got such a goddamn good story that I'm afraid that I'm gonna be playing 1, 2, and 3. I'm not gonna stop at 1, so I'm like, fuck, here it comes, here it goes again.
Then you play Andromeda.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's just like I
have to eat ice cream and candy.
No, it's just I just want to finish my Yakuza series. I'm really into that. It's really fucking dope, and I don't want to have to like, oh, okay, Yakuza, you got to sit on the back seat right now. You got Mass Effect, and it's like looking at the other ones, and get that look.
Yeah, that's one problem with that I was having now playing Mass Effect, because like the first time playing it, I'm just like, if I don't play this for too long, then I'm gonna end up forgetting what I was doing because it has a not so good like objective. I don't know which one of my quests is the main quest now. So I'm just like picking. I was like, I'm just gonna assume that the top quest is the main quest. I was like, I'm just gonna go from bottom to top. I was like, I just hope to God that I don't lose my way again, because I got stuck at the Citadel for an hour before I figured out how the hell do I get on my ship so I can get the hell out of here. And I just ended up doing like 3 more quests while I was stuck there.
Yeah,
those situations in Mass Effect, we'll have fun talking about the game because it going back and playing the first one, has shown its age, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But it's nice to get back and discuss situations like what you're mentioning.
Yeah, but it's like that, but that's like the same thing that happens with games that I have on backlog that I do try to play. Like there's like Fallout 4 and then Doom. I was like, I finished the Doom internal main story, and then I just randomly started the DLC because I forgot to do it. And it's just like, well, I can start Doom whenever because it's not super difficult. It's just remembering the combos to do because it's like very narrow storyline. So it's like I don't get lost in what to do. I just kill things, and the story moves forward. But for like Fallout 4, I'm just like I don't know what to do because I explore too often. So I have like 20 quests that I don't know where they came from or what to do next. So it's like I usually just like pick And so he was like, "This game looks familiar. I've seen it on YouTube. I know how it plays. Like, this seems interesting to play now." Or I just play the same game for like the 18th time because I just love it so much, and just try and play something on the side at least for a little bit to see if it's like, can I continue playing this, or do I just like install it entirely and never look at it again?
Yeah, I think like when it comes to all my modern stuff, I will try it and decide from there whether I'm going to keep playing. When it comes to like all my retro stuff, it's like I'm more interested in like playing the big games that I missed, I guess, is about it. And as Corey said, it's been helping with the game of the months when we do stuff like that because I wanted to play Metal Gear for a long time. Granted, I don't know if I would have finished the game if we weren't doing it for Game of the Month, but I'm kind of glad I did regardless. Because it's like I want to play Final Fantasy VII, the original one. I have it; it's over there on the shelf. But it's like, well, I have to put aside a couple weeks of my life to finish it. So, because again, I don't really want to like start a game like that and then stop because I'm really gonna get lost in what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I just recently dropped 60 something hours on Dragon Quest 3. I was like, I just finished that. I don't want to commit like the same amount of time to something else immediately after.
yeah.
Yeah, I usually have to bounce between games like that.
I wish I could say mine was organized in a way to be able to figure out what I was going to play on my backlogs, but it's just so spontaneous to where I just either it sparks my interest and then I stay on it, or it's just something I end up putting on the back burner because it's not really working out. So I mean that's best I can say for myself.
Yeah, like one evening you flip between like 5 different games. It's like, Jordan, pick something and play it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's I mean the same thing. Like I'm sitting in the room with all of my like game collection, and it does become overwhelming of choosing which one I want to play because it's like there's too many options. So when it's like, oh, I need to get footage of something, that does help me go, oh, I'll pick this one up and pop it in for a bit and give it a spin. Unless it's that random Dungeons and Dragons game that me and Edwin played and beat on Friday because we
So
just
random.
sat down. I turned it on for some reason. I don't know what we were waiting for. I just popped it on and then was like, oh, this is co-op, and handed him a controller. And then we just kind of sat there and played it until it was like credits rolled. It's like, okay. I mean, it was fun though. I was still having fun playing it. But the other thing with the backlog too is there's a lot of retro games that I've purchased over the years of games that I've wanted to play and never had a chance to. And I think Udon, you mentioned this earlier too, is like getting a chance to go back and play things that you've wanted to, but never could. And so like, being able, like, that's why I played through Parasite Eve, because I've always wanted to play that series, but I never had it as a kid. And now that I found Parasite Eve 2, I probably will be playing that again, or that game all the way through later this year. I just have to, I'm playing Liza P right now. I'm playing Onimusha 2, and I'm playing Final Fantasy X and Split Fiction and Mass Effect. So I can't put another game in that list. So.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. It's like, I think we have something about this later, but it's just like starting to tackle a bunch of things at once. Like you lose motivation to complete any one of them when you're getting distracted doing this game. I have a big problem with that. Like really sitting down and dedicating. Exactly. Yeah.
Where the fuck are the chocobos?
When does Shepard fight Sephiroth?
Yeah. Sephiroth
Get him,
trying to
Garrus.
destroy the Geth.
This is a numbers game.
Shepard, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
See his sword?
I bet that's how
Mass
fan
Effect
fictions are made.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So with the amount of randomness that's been always coming along with these gaming industries, whether they're doing really well or they're just fucking collapsing on themselves, do you guys see that in the future for 2025 that there going to be any of these game industries that'll be evolving, getting better, or figuring out new ways to progress, or going backwards and not being able to make that happen?
I don't even know at this point, because it's interesting to see how and why and maybe how they're going to change by the end of the year, but like right now I couldn't tell you where the fuck we're going, because we have the flops that people expected to be flops and we have other games doing fantastic. So the market is speaking. We are telling them what they want, but the weird thing is they don't seem to listen or they just say that we're wrong. I don't know.
I just expect them to fail until they realize it's like, okay, this isn't working, and then if we don't go back to our roots, we're gonna go bankrupt. So I'm just waiting for them to like go to like
Yeah.
just near it, and it's just like, okay, we have to change tactics. We cannot cater anymore.
Well, it's literally a numbers game, right? It's like you hemorrhage so much funds until it's literally like your last drop, or that's it. And I mean, THQ did that a long time ago, before they like rose from the ashes way later, by I think Nordic picking them up and rebranding. But like they were releasing too much stuff, and you see Square have that problem where they were like, we didn't sell enough games this year. It's like you released, I think it was like 14 games or something that year, and I was like, I can't buy all of those. Like I understand that, like let's say even if I was just a SquareSoft loyalist or Square Enix loyalist, I still can't buy 14 games that year.
I'm still playing the
Because-
first one.
Yeah, every one of those games is meant to be played for at least 60 hours. Like I bought the Final Fantasy remake, I bought Star Ocean. What
Well,
else
that's part of the
do you
that's
want
part of the
from me?
issue, right? Like everyone, like I mean, it's getting it's getting better. We haven't completely gone away from it, but we still have that issue of like every company trying to make that fucking, whether it is a multiplayer or a single player or some kind of live service game that's like, this is going to be the game you're playing all day every day forever and ever. And it's just like, if everyone's doing that, like someone's going to suffer eventually. Like
Well,
y'all
yeah,
all
like-
can't be Fortnite. It can't happen.
Literally, I was gonna say, like a lot of these companies want to be like Fortnite, and they're trying to find that, like, follow the equation, but then they don't follow it exactly, and then why did it fail? But at the same time, even if they followed it exactly, it's not going to be a guaranteed like money printing machine. I think honestly, one of the changes that we'll see, is that Microsoft will probably, like, there's rumors of a lot of Microsoft games coming to PlayStation, and they're like friendly with Nintendo, so we might see like Game Pass stuff on Nintendo, which would be cool. Like that's all rumor stuff, of course, but if that does happen, Microsoft could just be like a publishing platform, or a almost like its own version of Steam, I guess. Not in 2025, but it could be gathering numbers to justify them making a decision like that. Another thing is with physical media on the verge of like, will they keep doing it? Will they go to digital only? Who knows? Political climate, tariffs, nonsense. That might dictate whether or not people want to do physical copies or whatever. But with that being said, there's a lot more publishers that are indie friendly, and a lot more YouTube getting into the publishing game as well, where they've built up their own fan base so that they could almost publish games to their fan base, and that in itself is a money printing machine, but they're going to be very specific. So I think you might see publishers be a little bit more picky on what products they start picking, to put their name on, instead of just rapid firing anything. Because if you oversaturate your market with your own products, you're just going to go bankrupt.
It's
What?
funny too, because it's like we're mainly talking about like the big industry, because I feel like indie games have
Yeah.
been more stronger than they've ever been recently, primarily because people are like, well, the big business is failing
Yeah.
us, so we're going to go to the people who still just want to make video games for the sake of making a fun video game. So
No. Another thing, I guess another weird prediction for 2025 is with all of the mass layoffs that had happened in 2024 and like continuing into this year, with restructuring or whatever you want to call it, automations, a lot of the positions I would imagine aren't just programmers and artists, where they'd be like, oh man, they laid off 20,000 people. What are we like? How are they ever going to make a game again? It's like they probably had a monster HR department, and that's like unnecessary $150,000 salaries of 100 people deep. Like that's how they save money, especially when the game they created doesn't work, or it's the 6 people from Rivals that got laid. But these people that have skill sets, at least programming, design, sound, that do get laid off, they might start creating their own little sub studios with their own skill sets that they've learned over the years, and I think we'll see creative ass indie games again, where we're going to have a PS2 era of like fun, I suppose. Like when we used to go to the store and PS2 games, there was like hundreds of different games on the shelf, and you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. There's so many cool things out there. And the indie market does this already, but you can't see it because they're not necessarily physical games. But with more, indie friendly publishers, we might actually start seeing physical editions of stuff through web services and things like that that'll send us like things that are like strictly limited physical. So I could see new studios forming and putting together stuff like that. So it's like the creative teams that are wanting to be let loose and they no longer have that cage on them, like
Well-
AAA studios.
It's funny, right? Because I feel like that's honestly probably one of the biggest issues that the mainstream gaming industries have nowadays is just the fact that there's just too many cooks in the kitchen a lot of the time. And I'm not talking about even just higher up production team wise, but you go back to like teams that made Halo 2 of like, I think like 100 so people, that's still 100 people, but that's tiny compared to today's standards. So you have like, and also people, if you're wondering why I'm trying to clip up this cliff, I don't have the flying. I don't have the flying Pokemon yet. So, and I'm being stubborn because I'm trying to do all Pokedex stuff in every section before I move on. So I have to clip up here with the stupid Stantler without having. I don't have the flying Pokemon yet. So calm down. But anyways, it might help I mean, it sucks that people get laid off. Yes, I hate it when people lose their jobs because a lot of times people working on these things, it's typically not even their fault that the game sucks. But it's almost, I feel like in the end, hopefully it'll be a net positive because now the big companies are going to have smaller teams. Then indie devs are usually small teams themselves. So hopefully that'll help just reduce the amount of people making video games so you have like one cohesive vision, which I feel like helps immensely when you're making games nowadays. You just really need a small, tighter knit group of people with the same vision that just want to make the one thing without everyone having to put in all their input,
Right, or you have somebody in the higher positions who just says that we don't know what a good video game is. So
this is my nephew. He has an idea.
He likes Fortnite. We're gonna do Fortnite.
Gonna put it in. Yeah. Can you it was a simpler time when we just complained about loot boxes.
Yeah. Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even fucking buying them. Yeah. I just remember that's what everybody complained about. Too many damn loot boxes.
I said
now everybody's like, the industry is so garbage.
I said
maybe we should have just let them do it.
Peony. I said it the other day, fucking Overwatch is bringing them back. I was like, oh my god, what am I? What's happening? What is happening that we're cheering the return of loot boxes now? Fuck me.
It's like, yeah, you're literally just like, well, I gave up meth and went back to smoking. Everybody starts clapping.
It's healthy.
Good for you. Yeah. Figured I'd turn my life around.
Yeah.
Back to the roots.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, so we were kind of touching a little bit on what we looked at in our backlogs of video games, but let's say that we're trying to figure out how to stay up to date with new games and like releases and such. How do you guys find to making an informed choice on these types of games? What do you guys look at? Do you guys look at like famous YouTubers? Do you guys do your research online? What exactly do you guys do?
And
I like Corey
do as much gameplay as possible and see us like what are the different aspects of this game and how much of them can I enjoy.
I just let Corey look at everything and have him inform me of good stuff that's coming out. I don't really do a whole lot of anything.
Just don't be on his shit list. He'll have you buy Argonauts. Rise of the Argonauts.
Rise of the Argonauts. Yeah, I usually call on other people to buy shitty games
or Haze.
Yeah, Haze. Like, yo, you should buy Haze. It's really cool, I hear. And then watch him play it and be like, good thing I didn't buy it. Sorry, Mason. But I definitely stay away from Reddit, I guess, and like a lot of game review websites.
IGN.
I don't really read game review websites anymore.
It's a shiny
a lot of the times if there's a demo, nice.
He's green.
If there's a demo, I'll play it. Usually that will kind of dictate, but there's a couple of YouTubers that I'll watch, like Iron Pineapple. He's one that does like Souls content. When they do in the occasional Steam dumpster diving, there's like other channels that do that where they just kind of pick a bunch of games out. I do like to follow a lot of like devlog channels, and so when you're following indie devs that talk about their game idea when they're making it, they also kind of talk about the games that inspired that. So there's a lot of times where I'll see games that they liked playing or something that I might not have heard of before. because a lot of these people, their main game library is on Steam, and there's so many things on Steam that like I haven't even begun to touch. But when it's like new games coming out, there's a very good chance that like most new games I'm not really going to be on board for unless I guess the story or like the theme of the game is like interesting to me. If it's just like cosmic horror, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued to follow the developer. Like I'll just go to the website of the game company and just look through it there. I don't need somebody to tell me about it. Because usually the game review ends up being like when you're looking up a recipe for something and they give you some bullshit backstory of how their grandma used to make pies all weekend. And you're like, well, where's the part where you put the ingredients? Because that's what I came here for. So I just go to the website, I go to the source, and then I look at images and read about it there. But the theme really has to capture me because, military shooter. I'm like, okay, well, there's a bunch of those. Even Souls-like games, I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. Just because you die a lot doesn't mean it's a Souls-like.
You mean you weren't sold on Dark Farts, the trailer that we saw?
What the fuck is that?
It's a very shitty game with a very
Literally?
shitty trailer.
Ha 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 ha! He made it funny.
Nice.
I didn't know. I mean that literally. I wasn't trying to make it as a joke. That was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah, like some companies you can just trust. Like that's kind of hard to do more or less nowadays. Like I used to be able to just buy SquareSoft games. If I saw SquareSoft on the case, I'd be like, that one. I don't even care. I want that one.
Yeah.
But like Split Fiction, I bought Split Fiction because I wanted to play it with my wife, and I liked Brothers. I think I think he's like the director. I think he's really funny. Like it's just as a person when he was like drunk at the award show and yelled
Yeah,
"fuck the
very
Oscars." That was
charismatic.
hilarious. But his games take a lot of thought and care, and like it really shows. And so like it was a no-brainer. I was like, Split Fiction, it's him. I'm buying it. And it's weird because like then you have people like Randy Pitchford walks on screen. He's like, Borderlands, you guys, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like based on your track record.
I understand this is the fourth one, but
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it's the good one.
yeah, you already did that. You've peaked already.
Yeah.
If I'm saying things on more of a serious note, I mean, unironically, Corey does actually. At least I get a lot of indie recommendations from Corey, but when I typically just look for those PlayStation, PlayStation, what is it that PlayStation presents, the Nintendo Directs, stuff like that. I don't really look at Xbox stuff, weirdly enough, because they don't really have anything that I care about anymore. But I weirdly don't look at a lot of stuff like that I'm looking for, if that makes sense. Like I'm looking at stuff like the IPs I know, and if during those presentations something comes on that I have no idea about, I'm like, oh, that's neat, and I'll like keep it on my radar more or less. I'll look it up. I'll usually buy if it's a gameplay trailer. I hate cinematic trailers. Like, yes, it's pretty, but that's not gameplay. I have no idea what this game's about. If I see gameplay, I typically can tell whether or not I'm least interested in it. Then I'll wait for more trailers, look them up as it comes out, and then usually by then I know whether or not I want to buy it. If I'm still on the fence, kind of how I just said with the new Doom game, I really want to see like unfiltered gameplay of it before I make my decision on that. So I'll wait for it to come out first and see a bunch of like uncut up footage of it to see how I feel about the gameplay. But just generally looking at it with my own two eyes, I don't trust any journalists. I trust like very, very few YouTubers, and even then I always make the decision myself. There's like maybe 2 YouTubers that I would trust their opinions on games on. But otherwise, I just generally I need to look at it with my own eyes. I need to come in with my own decisions because I have very particular tastes. Even though, weirdly enough, especially with indie games nowadays, I have been giving them more leniency, just being like buying stuff based off of cover art or just like looking at the back of the box because it's nostalgic feeling that way buying games like that. And with indie games, they're typically cheaper, so I can afford to make a mistake if it turns out to be ass, anyways. But yeah, that's typically how I just really broad overview stuff, and I only really zero in on the stuff I know I'm going to like if I just happen to catch wind of it, essentially.
Yeah, I'd be saying for me, like going way back, we didn't have the ability to be able to just go straight off the internet and find things that we were gonna review to find out if it's good or not. Yeah. So it would be basically called the pioneering move, where we would basically just give it a shot and see what it was, and then the individual that was right beside us got to see if they liked it or if it was a huge flop. So we had a lot of gambling back then when it came to trying to pick out a game. It was really rough
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, we could ride our bikes to the grocery store and flip through like an EGM, like Tips and Tricks magazine to see what's coming, or what games were if we wanted any more screenshots, because like I couldn't get anything. I remember downloading the teaser trailer for Metal Gear Solid 2, and it took like 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we were going through that, and then, to the most current time now for myself, same kind of thing. Have yourself surrounded by friends that play different games, and it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to ask, have you guys played this game lately, or has anybody played this game, and get their thoughts on it, and they can tell you the pros and cons to it, which is really nice, because usually when there's a lot of these people that are reviewing games, sometimes they just give you just only the pros in their own eye, and they don't ever say the cons because they're getting paid, so they don't want to talk too bad about it. I go with before you buy on YouTube for myself, because I have been seeing a lot of similarities that I've been getting, that were he would lay out the games that you were going to be playing, and then you'd find out for yourself if you liked it. But he did have a lot of things that I liked or enjoyed, and then he would tell you the bad things about it. So he'd be telling you, if this is a type of game for you, that'd be awesome, you're going to like this, but there is going to be issues with the online play, or you're just not going to like the story. Maybe it's something that you might want to just play as a quick fix, like you just want to play the game but you're not really too interested in story. Then this might not be for you. So it would be kind of making it a lot more easier for you to make a decision. So those are kind of things for me that I look at for upcoming video games.
It's tangentially related. It was something Donkey said one time, and when I say this, keep in mind I generally don't really care for Donkey all that much. I think he can be funny, but I generally don't like him actually reviewing games. I just want him to be a funny man. But he said something one time. I think he was actually giving his thoughts on Persona 5, and he was saying, like, it's a good JRPG if me, the guy who doesn't like JRPGs, is playing it and saying you should play it, because he was saying something about how, like, when you're looking at reviews from journalists, YouTubers, whatever, everyone has their own takes and interests, and there's very few people that are going to remain strictly objective throughout an entire review and just base a game based off its merits, where none of your personal feelings come into play. Because, like I said, I'm not having a crazy good time with Monster Hunter Wilds, but it's basically because of a lot of my hangups of stuff they've taken away from the earlier games, and that's not really fair to the actual game itself in a lot of ways. So, and obviously I'm in the vast minority on that, but you know what you like, and you might have those rare occasions where if someone that doesn't like a certain thing is recommending that thing, you might be more inclined to look at that thing strictly because of that reason, either A, because it's so good it impressed even them, or it has some kind of difference about it that might be interesting that caused someone who normally wouldn't play those games to play those games.
And that was where you said before, like, you get to be able to see the video, want to see it for yourself, rather than just taking the word of mouth from the individual. You want to actually see if really what they're saying makes sense to what you really enjoy, so you can really make a better decision. So, like, the YouTube side of it, it's easier now to where you're having somebody, they're giving you a summary of what is the game about. They already did the whole playing of it. I mean, hopefully they don't, ruin it for you, but you'll be able to see gameplay footage of it. You're hearing what they talk about, the pros and cons to the mix, and it just makes it that much easier for you to decide whether it's good or not. Just, again, as long as they're not being too subjective with it, and they're actually following what is considered a game around the graphics, the gameplay, the story, the main simple factors of what makes a good game.
Well, another thing that I look for, or at least I come across, because some of the stuff that I enjoy consuming on YouTube are like lore videos, and some of the channels, when they'll be doing like a Silent Hill breakdown or something like that, or they'll be talking about Kingsfield, and I'm just like, oh, these are games I know about and they're kind of cool, but then a game shows up that I have not seen before, and it starts to sound really interesting. Now, unfortunately, I don't usually end up viewing the episode as much, because if it gets interesting, I'm like, I don't want to see any more of this, because I want to go experience it before I come back. I do the same thing with like some movies, where I watch some like movie review channels or whatever, and if it's a movie I haven't seen and it does seem interesting, I'm like, nope, I can't finish because I don't want you to spoil it for me. That's how I was introduced to like Lisa the Painful, I was introduced to Fear and Hunger this way because like all this talk about like the old gods and stuff like that, and then I'm like, this starts to sound intriguing. And so if there's like a lot of lore videos that reveal a certain game, I usually will go investigate like why I'm so interested in it and like add to cart or whatever.
I ignore like almost every aspect of like journalism, because I usually just look at the gameplay because that's like what I'm going to be seeing most of the time. So I look at the combat and I look at like how it plays, how it looks, and everything, because that's just what I'm going to be doing most of the time. The story is somewhat irrelevant because if I don't like it, I can just skip it and then just play the combat, which is the part that I actually like, which is how I play Borderlands 3. And I ignore even the most trustworthy YouTubers because some are like playing my favorite game and then they're giving their opinions on like they were like I was watching Jacksepticeye, very popular. He was playing one of my favorite games ever, Elden Ring, and then he gave his opinions on like the past games, like all the Dark Souls games. I was like, I completely disagree with everything you just said. And then meanwhile, I'm Pineapple like reviews Night Rain, and it's just like, okay, yeah, I can understand like your company, like both sides, like the good and the bad, but as like most of which I can just look past and then just enjoy the game regardless. So I was like, I just look at the gameplay. It was like, if like I know this is like the stuff I'm going to be doing most of the time. So it's like I can just ignore almost every other aspect to play it. But depending on if I've played like the previous games or if I played like most of the games, I was like, I can put my trust on the company until they screw it up. Like Borderlands 3, which I still enjoy the combat, but like after that, now I'm skeptical about buying their games in general because it's just not as great as opposed to other games that I have played.
And okay, so we were talking about a lot of things in reviews and such, but with your guys' experience in regarding to gaming, how much impact do you think that reviews from the community or just feedback in general holds on you making a decision about buying a new game?
Like I think it just ties into what I just said, almost none at all, because I don't like I said, I might be interested to look at something. Like, I mean, it's almost what Edwin just said. It's like, what if the Dark Souls community said the new Souls game sucks or whatever? You know, it's like, would that make you automatically be like, oh well, I'm not going to play it because no one else likes it? It's like, probably not. You're going to look into it yourself and see what, or at least I hope in most cases people would look at it themselves and see what they like about it.
Yeah.
Because I more often than not feel like I've gone against the grain in a lot of communities I consider myself a part of, essentially. So I'll still like look at people's opinions just out of curiosity, just to see whether or not the general consensus on this is positive or negative or neutral or what have you. But ultimately, it's just like doesn't affect my enjoyment because I know. Well, here's a good example. My favorite Dragon Age, controversially, is Dragon Age 2, and I know a lot of people do not like Dragon Age 2. Everyone who likes Dragon Age 2 is like the dud. If we ignore, we're not talking about Veilguard, that doesn't exist. If we're just talking about the original trilogy, and I have a bunch of reasons for liking Dragon Age 2. I think it's not as bad as everyone says it is. However, most of the people's issues with the game, I'll sit there and just nod my head and be like, yep, you're totally right, but I still like it. And I wouldn't feel this way if I just decided to just not like it because no one else likes it, I played it myself and came to my own conclusions.
Would you...
It's...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's actually kind of interesting in like, and it sucks, but it's like a contrarian type thing. But the more that I see like a online presence telling me that I have to like something, makes me not want to like. Just it has an inverse effect, and the same thing typically happens in reverse as well. When they're like, "You should hate this game." Well, there's a chance that I might, and this has happened a lot of times, honestly, is where like a game will pop up. I've never heard of this game, but people are dunking on it so hard for some reason, and I don't really know what that reason is, except for maybe it's like some superficial bullshit. But they've now introduced me to the game, and then I end up buying it. and I think it's funny because you're doing
Any
the
publicity is
opposite.
good publicity.
Yeah,
as they say.
and I mean that's the same type of thing, right? When they're saying like you should like this game, and it's like you're pushing this really hard. Like why? Something is, because like I tend to approach everybody's trying to sell me something. So like, why do I have to like this game? Now I don't want. Now I'm skeptical. I might not have been skeptical before, but when somebody hands you something to eat and like, go ahead, try it, and they're just like waiting, and you're like, why would you do it? You're like, it's like nothing.
Hiding
Just
the whole
eat it.
empty bottle of sriracha behind their back.
Nothing. Just eat it. Just put it in your mouth and eat it. And you're like, I don't know now. I don't think I'm going to do. Like that's what's happening when they push something so heavy without giving you an actual response. Like this game is going to be so good. Like those videos that I mentioned, like the guy talking about the graphics of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was a very superficial. Like it was a streamer. He was in the corner of the screen, like panning through some stuff, talking about how whimsical and beautiful the graphics were. And I was like, this is weirdly overly positive. Like this,
he got paid for it.
Somebody's drinking the
well,
Kool-Aid.
exactly. It's definitely a paid promotion, but like, it's just because you're approaching it in such a weird positivity that I'm now skeptical of it. And I mean, I'll still look into stuff myself ultimately. And like, I tend to go off of what my dad says whenever I mention something like a review. He's like, I don't let people tell me what to like.
Well, exactly. It's
okay.
like
Awkward.
I see all these fucking videos about the ZA trailer and being like, "Oh my god, this looks so awesome! Look at this! Look at this!" I'm just like, I feel like I'm gonna look at these and just get angry because you're gonna ignore all the obvious issues with this because you're not really seeing. You're not. Well, what's the saying goes? You're mistaking the flowers for the field or some bullshit like that. Something like that.
That's just deep.
Insert analogy here.
Insert analogy that I've read somewhere and I can't remember the exact wording for it.
The perfect one. Trust me.
Yeah, it works. Look it up. I don't know. But
can't see the
mistaking the forest for the trees. Yeah, I got there. No, you did not remind me. It was a delay.
I said it first.
Analogy inserted.
It was a delay in the fucking Discord. I was already saying it.
You had to buy the DLC.
That's from the ether.
But mistaking the forest for the trees, and it's like they'll probably like. I feel like if I watch those videos and I need to be in the right mood for it because otherwise I'll just get angry watching them. But they'll be all like, "Oh my god, the combat's so cool! Look at this. And I'm like, yes. Now talk about the rest of it. You're just ignoring it because it's either like it's stupid, but you don't want to focus on it. We don't want to acknowledge the bad things.
There's a giant other part of this game you're not showing me, and I'm very worried about showing it to me.
Yeah.
And that's no, you're good.
No, it's like there's always going to be like a negative to the positive and back and forth. It was like, but it was like if you're obviously paid to talk about it, you're never going to talk about the negative because even the company itself knows there's a negative. But
because they're not going to give.
So if you don't say it, then it was like, okay, so you're just fucking untrustworthy.
I feel like I'd trust a company 10 times more if they have the balls to give a review copy to someone that they just give full reign. It's like, yeah, just shit on our game if you think it's bad. Like otherwise, if you fucking get paid to review a game, I don't trust. And again, I don't trust journalism or YouTubers pretty much in general. It's like you're just gonna shill for it because you have to. I understand you got paid, so you kind of have to, but it also means I'm not gonna listen to you because everything you're saying is bullshit.
if a company is willing to give a review copy, no like chains, like no strings attached, then they're confident in their product, which is nice. And they're not worried about the nonsense that might come from this. Whereas like another company that keeps their shit close to their chest is only going to hand it out to somebody who is going to go through the bullet points that were given to them. Talk about these, don't talk about the other stuff.
Have you heard of Raid Shadow Legends?
Yeah, exactly. The best mobile game ever.
A game that has no sexy fan art.
I haven't seen a single ad for that in a while, by the way.
I do, but it's only because I watch old videos.
Yeah, it has now reached the legend part.
Yeah,
it is now a legend.
So I guess,
Well, I mean, games need booth babes. You know, that's what it is. That's what paid promotions are, just booth babes.
so what do you guys? So kind of getting into that part. What do you guys think on your takes about with demos? Do you guys feel like that's something that really helps you in making decision? Do you feel like it kind of ruins the game when you're looking for a trying to be surprised and such, for a better way? Because like for me, there are certain games that I will be afraid to play the demo because I really just want to see the whole. Like for instance, Final Fantasy. Like I'm pretty stuck with Final Fantasy VII to where I know how things are basically going to play. Not exactly like full on to the story, but I already have a pretty good idea what it is. It's kind of hard to fuck it up. So I'm not really too sure about if I want to play the demo because I really just want to get the game and then just become immersed immediately by no surprises whatsoever, because I feel like that takes away it. But at the same time, games outside of that, that you haven't really tried, maybe the demo will help. But I don't know. What was your guys' take on that?
I love demos.
I know you love demos. It's a give and take for me. If it's a game, I feel like for me it's much more useful when it's an IP I know nothing about. If it's something completely new that I have no idea what the gameplay is going to be like, I find demos incredibly useful, because I think the last time I seriously played a demo was Unicorn Overlord, because that was a game like I saw the artwork. I'm like, I really like the artwork. I know the studio. I really like their shit, but I don't know how this game really plays based off of the trailer and stuff like that. So playing the demo was really helpful in learning like how the game was, and I ended up buying the game. But when, the Monster Hunter's Wilds beta came out, I was like, I couldn't give a shit, because I'm like, it's Monster Hunter. I already know how this is going to be. If anything, if it is that good, I'm just going to be chomping at the bit to play the real fucking game. So I'm just going to deprive myself entirely until the game actually comes out, So it depends. For new stuff, really helpful. For stuff I already know what it is, like I have a really strong grasp of what it is, it doesn't matter.
There was like some.
I was just really on the same boat as Udon, because just like sometimes I'll play demos if I know I'm gonna really like the game. It was like then I played a demo. I was like, I just want more, and I just can't fucking sit still. It was like until the release date. But I tried. The last demo that I played was Night Rain, specifically because I know it was Elden Ring, so I just wanted to try it because there was like a new twist on it. So I was like, am I gonna like the twist or no? So I just really needed to find out to see. But that's why I watched the video first, just so I can have like the actual experience and not dicking around for like the first like session just to figure out like how to do anything before I start losing interest in the complexity.
I mean, I love demos. I think it's a nice entry into like the product, especially when it's a demo that's designed around like giving you a gift if you complete the demo when the real game comes out, like a little reward, or it's the first hour of the game and then the save carries over is kind of nice. Not every demo does this. I just think it's kind of cool. But there was like a study more than 10 years ago. I remember I was just talking to this online into the ether in a comment section, but that someone was talking about the direct correlation of stopping demos led to higher game sales by a very huge margin. And I think it's just because now I can't make an informed decision, and I'm just going to make a terrible financial choice because I can't try it before I buy it. Before, people were playing demos and then deciding that's not for them. So companies started to pull away from demos, claiming that it's too much work to make a demo.
Bullshit.
But at the same time, it's like that's how indie games actually thrive. Your Kickstarter, and I go to Kickstarter like all the time just to check and see what's on there. I back Kickstarters every once in a while, comics, games, whatever. If it's something I'm interested in, I do like checking out these independent supporters and people. That's where Another Crusade was. It was a Kickstarter game, and then I asked them if I could help on the project. So, because it was just something I was so into because it was the Mario RPG game. But all these Kickstarters that have demos, or if you got a Steam game and it's Steam Next Fest or whatever, you're going for wish lists, having a demo really helps. And like they usually push, you need to have a demo for indie games. So why not the others? Because the indie devs, they don't have the pull that a big company might have for marketing. So they want their user base to at least try it to see if it's something that they like, or at least get feedback to see if it's something they could sell. Because an indie game, they're not like, it's great if they sell 1 million copies. Power to you. That's very hard to do, but technically they're only trying to sell 10,000 copies, for $20 each to, be able to fund the next project, kind of thing. If you're a solo dev or whatever, depending, region that you live and cost of production and whatnot, but it's a much smaller audience, so demos are required almost for indie devs. But there are times when I've Dead Rising, I never bought it. I just played the demo every day
Yep.
because I just wanted to kill zombies. I mean, sit there and play Xbox just playing the demo because it's like, well, this is the one thing I wanted to do. I don't really care about the rest of it. This
Yeah.
is fun enough for 30 minutes, and then I pass it to him and watch him kill zombies, and then we go back and forth. I played first Berserker. I think it's fun. I like the art style. It's really neat. Code Vein, I played the demo for that. I ended up buying it. To be fair, Berserker, Code Vein's a much older game, but it's that gothic Animu Souls-like game. But
Which, speaking of, if I could have played a demo for that, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I tried finishing that the other day, and I'm just like, I can't, dude. This combat's too clunky for me.
I mean, not to go into that game, it does have its ups and downs. I do like the art style and stuff. It's edgelordy, but it's like Scarlet Nexus, and there's a few other games that kind of I put in that category of like anime adventure game here. I think I'd throw Astral Chain in that same like category of like, I like it. It's not perfect, but it was fun. Scarlet Nexus is definitely like higher up on that.
Question: did Cyberpunk, when it first came out, was there a demo for that?
No.
Okay.
Because I think it got delayed.
So that could have been also one of those future save yourself the heartache of that, finding out that the game was broken.
Well,
it wasn't fully, but that's not anything on the game itself. The game is great now, but if there was a demo that came out beforehand, it probably would have saved a lot of people the heartache of finding out that the game was not really ready yet.
It's weird because they'll put the giant disclaimer like not final product, and I love seeing that because let's face it, the bigger studios, they call them betas. They're not demos, they're just betas. And then so they go, we're going to sign up for a beta, and you try the game out, and it's just like not representative of final product. And it's like, really? The game comes out next month. How much of this are you actually going to be able to fucking change?
Yeah, very rarely have you see like actual changes between that and that. Like the one time I feel like it was really noticeable is when they first showed off, for me at least, when they showed off the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, because when the trailer dropped for those, everyone was like, I don't know, those graphics look a bit wonky, but when the game came out, the game looked a lot better.
So demos definitely help me decide whether or not I am going to buy. I understand that making a demo is like, but like indie devs do it all the time.
So. I mean, how hard is it to just cut out a chunkier game and just limit everything else?
I think like the one
time on it.
The one that I can think of, like off the top of my head, that's like an interesting demo, and maybe Devil May Cry had one of these, because I still have like Jam Pack Volume 1, like the PlayStation 1 demos, but Legend of Dragoon had a demo on PlayStation 1, and the demo is in a part of the game where you don't actually have the team that you have, and you don't actually have the Dragoon armor, but the demo needs to showcase the major features of the franchise, or of that game at least. So in the demo, in that part of the game, you do have these party members, you do have the armor, and it kind of gives you a taste of a little of everything, even though when you get to that part in the game, it's completely different. So yeah, they had to make like a specific experience, but I'm not saying that it's impossible for a studio that literally has bodies to throw at problems, So like, I don't think, yeah, but I think that it's super beneficial, at least to me, in whether or not I am going to buy. And even still, it might not be something I was going to buy anyways. But I do like trying it just to see what it is, because maybe the demo might sway me, and I'll download it, even if it's like some random ass, like I played some ambulance simulator game, not the funny one that we were looking at the other day, but there was like some like ER type of game thing that was silly, and I was playing it. It was kind of like a trauma center game, honestly, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, but like I wouldn't buy it off the shelf to do that. It's because they were offering me like a little 30-minute entertainment experience. It was like, well, I got time to kill, I'll try all these out, get some footage or something, and so I just like them. They do impact, though. That is a important thing, but I think more people should do demos.
Yeah, I mean, it's not they complain about like making like very specific parts of the game available, just or like modifying it to play how like the game is meant to be, but it's like it has just like a certain length of gameplay. But like one of the demos that I played when I was younger was on the Legend of Zelda collection. There was a timed demo for Wind Waker, but it had 3 separate parts that you can play for like 5 or 15 minutes or something like that. And then that's just the only. I mean, I don't know. It's like I forgot like how much
fucking cat.
But it was just like 3 parts of the game, all different, that you just play for a certain amount of time, and I just could not stop playing it. Wind Waker was just one of the biggest games that I've ever won in my childhood, just because of it. And then when I finally got my hands on it, I was like, oh, there's just everything that I wanted, and like I expected from the demo. And then the Resident Evil, I think all the remake ones had a demo of at least like 30 minutes, I think. But it was just enough to like experience like the whole game, and then it wasn't limited to like the area that you were in. It was just a time limit itself. And I just think it makes it more interesting because you just play the game over and over again, and you start speed running to see how far you can get into it. It's just like a little entertaining thing about it.
Well, literally, the only reason why I got Kingdom Hearts was because it was on a demo disc. Now, it wasn't playable, but it was a video of it, so I can see what the actual thing was instead of just pictures of Disney characters. Because, like, I don't care that you're not going to sell an RPG to me by showing me Goofy with a shield. I would see that and be like, "Oh, that's little kid crap. I don't want this." But when I saw like how the game was actually playing on one of those demo discs, I think it was like a Game Pro magazine demo disc or something, I was like, oh, that's what this game is? Okay, now I think I want it. And so it is helpful. But maybe that's why I like demos so much, is because like I come from the era in which like Pizza Hut was giving out demo discs. They were paired in magazines wrapped in plastic. Like demo discs were the only way that like they were games came with demos. Zone of the Enders came with Metal Gear Solid 2. Vagrant Story came with videos of Final Fantasy VIII and Parasite Eve and a couple other games. Brave Fencer Musashi, I think, which Brave Fencer Musashi also came with some demo or like previews. It was a way for like studios to be like, and this is the other stuff we're working on. So it was like a nice little introduction to like other things. So, like I'm just so used to it because that's just how it used to be.
It's just interactive advertisement, which is just better than just telling me, "Hey, this is good." I was like, it's not.
Or that random Japanese DVD that I got in that Women magazine. We learned the PlayStation 4 has like, watch this only 3 times before I make my final decision on whether or not you'll ever be able to watch an American DVD again.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Fucking weird.
Like what?
Restriction. Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't realize I was on the dawn of the first day. It's like, oh shit. Yeah. What did I do?
I think I gave like 3 different warnings. So like, he was like, I'm gonna give you 3 different warnings and 4 different attempts to switch the region lock on your PlayStation.
Why is that even a fucking thing? It was so random. The PlayStation 4 is just like, you cannot watch Japanese DVDs more than 3 times before that's the only thing you can watch. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And
why that number?
Studying, yeah.
We all thought it was a demo disc, but it was just like a video of like a YouTube-esque guy just playing games and explaining how it
paired with the magazine.
I thought it was
kind of neat.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was charming. The dude was having a good time, and it's just
that's why I bought it.
It's such a novel, weird way to advertise your stuff that you just don't see in the States. It was very interesting. Like, I liked it.
What was it? It was covering a Mario Brothers ship and like Peach Showtime Mario and Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion. It was like all Nintendo stuff. But
it's like, hey, get away from my PlayStation! Don't put that hentai in there. No, and it's like now all I can watch is Japanese.
Oh no, I can only watch hentai.
Yeah, my PlayStation's like, you made your choice. It's like, oh crap.
Very colorful. Okay, all right. So let's jump into some trivia. So for question number 1, in which game do players assume the role of a character named Kame Argonar, who has lived for over 1,000 years and has no memory of his past? Is it A, Final Fantasy X, B, Lost Odyssey, C, The Bouncer, or D, Dark Cloud 2?
B, Lost Odyssey.
I'm just gonna say The Bouncer just because I just
The
find it funny in
Bouncer.
that video. Yeah.
Dark Cloud, just fuck it.
The answer was B, Lost Odyssey.
Yeah, I don't understand anything that you said in that question. It's like I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's Kame
The
Argonar.
game is really neat.
I don't know what that is.
It's a big. That game has a problem with accessories showing up on your character in cutscenes, and I remember there's this really heartfelt scene where like this character is dying in front of the main character, and he's just like, "It's okay, you can go." And I have these dumb fucking pink librarian glasses on. It's like, no, you're ruining the cutscene. He looks like it's like the glasses were the style of the slug in Monsters Inc.
It'd be like trying to it'd be like the chicken hat on what is it on
Yeah.
Solid Snake, trying to have a cutscene. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? All right, and question number 2. Which 2003 video game features a protagonist named Jack who must navigate a post-apocalyptic world and battle a tyrannical ruler named Cain? Is it A, Max Payne 2, B, Beyond Good and Evil, C, Enslaved Odyssey to the West, or D, Psychonauts?
See, enslaved.
A, fuck it.
It was C, Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Yeah, it's basically the modern Wukong story. Wasn't that what studio made that? Wasn't it the people that made Heavenly Sword made that game?
I think so. I think it was. Yeah, it does ring a bell.
What a unique game that just kind of faded into obscurity.
All right, now our third and final question. In which game do players control a character named Dart, who is on a quest to stop an ancient evil known as the Black Monster? Is it A, Dark Cloud, B, Legend of Dragoon, C, Wild Arms 3, or D, Suikoden 3?
Hey, Legend of Dragoon. I know this one.
It's B, Legend of Dragoon. Dart's the main character.
Yep, it's
Because I remember because it's such a stupid name.
You just remind me. You remind me of that kid that was doing the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Just calls his parent just to tell him he's gonna win. It felt like that kind of vibe with this one. Yes, it was answer B, Legend of Dragoon. All right.
It's also one of our more recent recommended shorts.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube channel to be notified of new episodes. Hit us up with them 5 stars, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And for all you gamers out there, just remember to keep exploring, keep playing, and keep listening. Until next time, this is the Mediocre Rumble Brothers podcast signing off. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.